For the most part, you can debate whether or not this Red Wings roster lacks upper-end talent. You know what it doesn't lack, though? Michigan dudes. It really doesn't. Like, when you think about the names that are here, you think about some of the folks that have made their way onto the Detroit Red Wings. Just the forward core, mind you. We're not necessarily talking about everybody. Everybody here from the defense, like a lot of these guys are from Europe, not necessarily Michigan guys, but there are so many Michigan folks on the Detroit Red Wings, and that's fine. That's a cool aspect of this team. But you can make the argument that some of the top-end talent isn't fully fleshed out. Like, okay, is James Van Riemsdyk going to be a first-line winger with the Detroit Red Wings? Is that a top-end talented guy? Is he in the same stratosphere as a Raymond or a Larkin? I'd probably say not. But then again, you know, the Wings are going through their overall rebuild. It's been a few years, maybe more than just a few years now that I think about it. But still, the Red Wings have themselves a roster that you can say could be improved. So why not go out there and entertain this trade discussion, which would see the Red Wings potentially get not only a top-tier talented forward, but also a Michigan dude. Let's head over to this article published on Bleacher Report from yesterday by Adam Gretz. 5 NHL trade landing spots for Pittsburgh forward Bryan Rust amid rumors. Now, before we dive into this article, which will be linked in the description, let's go over the profile of the player at hand. Bryan Rust is from Pontiac, Michigan. 33 years old, 5'11", 192, signed on till the end of 27-28, making $5.125 million a year. Pretty reasonable cap hit, all things considered. Bryan Rust has been a first-line player in Pittsburgh for a while. He had 65 points in 71 games played the most recent season, the most productive of his career, mostly due to the fact that some of the other seasons he played fewer games. I mean, he had 56 points in 55 games in 2019-20, for example. That's a point-per-game campaign. He was really good. Rust has consistently been a top-tier Penguins forward, a 20-goal guy. The last time he didn't have 20 goals in a season was 2019. That was 6 seasons ago. This guy has been 27, 22, 24, 20, 28, and 31 goals in the past 6 seasons. He's been very good. And this most recent season, he, alongside of Rickard Rakell and Sidney Crosby, made for a very effective third line. Sure, he was a minus 21, but everybody on Pittsburgh was kind of bad, so Bryan Rust, totally fine, good hockey player, good contract, Michigan guy, and, of course, he's being written about here in Trade Rumors. So let's dive into this article and get the scoop first and foremost as to what the rumors actually are, just so we kind of know where Gretz is coming from and where the rest of the league seems to be here. The Penguins are expected to make at least 1 or 2 more trades this offseason as part of their ongoing rebuild, especially now that most of the top free agents have been picked over and teams need to find upgrades through the trade market. The Pens have some intriguing options to dangle as trade bait, including Erik Karlsson and forwards Rakell and Rust. It's a good bet that at least one of them is playing hockey for somebody else this upcoming year. Here, we are going to look at some potential landing spots for Rust should they decide to trade him. It's not a given that he'll be moved, given his leadership role in the locker room and the fact that he is one of Sidney Crosby's preferred wingers, but he might be one of the Pens' most valuable trade chips. He will be 33 years old at the start of the season and no longer has any trade protection in his contract. So let's take a look at some potential matches. And yes, I know what you're thinking, like, yeah, we've made videos about Erik Karlsson and Rickard Rakell being linked to the Red Wings already. I mean, everybody's talking about Karlsson. Rakell just happens to be tossed in there. He's a very good forward, 70-point guy. But now it's Bryan Rust's turn. So, I guess the Wings should just go out there and make a trade for all of them. Why don't they? It certainly would improve the team. Let's go out there and see here. The Wings are the first team listed as a potential Bryan Rust destination. Let's read what Gretz has to say here. This might be one of the most sensible options for several reasons. For one, Detroit needs to do something significant this offseason. The Red Wings have been way too quiet for a team that should be desperate to make the playoffs, and they could use Rust's two-way ability. They also have more than $12 million in salary cap space, and Rust is from Pontiac. The Wings also have a cupboard of draft picks and a solid prospect pool that could be enticing to a Penguins team that is looking to add more young talent. The Red Wings missed on pretty much everybody in free agency and have not made any major trades. Rust would be a great way to change that if they could pull it off. Now, I don't want to bite off more than I can chew, then I chew it, but the idea of Rust, and maybe even somebody else, like we're talking about Karlsson, Rakell, and Rust, why not go after two of them? I mean, cap space be damned, the Detroit Red Wings have quite a lot of cap space. If they send over a roster player or two, it might actually work out, but of course, that'd be a really high price. Even just Bryan Rust by himself, very consistent, Sidney Crosby preferred guy on a very good contract, like, that's going to cost a lot. There's no sugarcoating it. So if you were to try to get Rakell and Rust in a trade, for example, you might be adding on what will inevitably put your team over the edge and not even be like a wildcard team. Maybe you'll be a top 3 in the Atlantic type of team. But is that price really something you're going to be willing to pay? The Detroit Red Wings, I mean, if you think about it, Bryan Rust could slot in on that first line very seamlessly. Him playing with Raymond and Larkin, just the style of play. We know Sidney Crosby is very grinder-esque. He's very finesse. He's got a lot of skill. He can set guys up. I don't want to say that a Larkin and a Raymond together makes a Crosby, but I do think that with the pace that Larkin and Raymond play with, plus the mobility that Bryan Rust has, I do think there's a really good fit there. Now, to be fair, I actually do think that Rakell would be a really good fit as well, with his sniping ability and his pace. But if I had to choose one, like, I think that Rust and Rakell each have their own strengths that would benefit the Red Wings in different ways. I do think that Rust's mobility and his dog-like tendencies would be very good alongside of Raymond and Larkin, almost like exactly what Marco Kasper was providing last season. Now, you can say there's a question as to what happens with everybody else if JVR gets moved down, if Soderblom gets removed, or if Mason Appleton doesn't really have too much of a role even though he was just signed. I mean, he's linked here as the 4th-line right wing on dailyfaceoff.com, so maybe he doesn't have the best spot in the lineup right now. But I do think that Bryan Rust in particular would add so much value to this Red Wings forward core. And heck, maybe it's not Rust and Rakell, maybe it's Rust and Karlsson. Like, I don't know about you, but Justin Hall still being there kind of freaks me out. Erik Karlsson, for as bad defensively as he is, at least he can score 50 points a year. So, who knows, man? If everybody thinks that Erik Karlsson has, like, negative trade value, then why not use that to your advantage? Get Karlsson, no salary retained, get Rust. You need to free up $5 million in cap space, so maybe you make a trade with Kopp or something. I don't know, there are ways that you could work it out, just add all the pieces together, but ultimately, the Red Wings being linked as the top team for Bryan Rust, I do think is a very intriguing thing that we can talk about here on the channel. So I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about Bryan Rust as a Red Wings trade target? We've already spoken about Rakell, we've already spoken about Karlsson, the Wings apparently have interest in some of these guys. Is Rust somebody that you have interest as a Detroit Red Wings fan, and what is the price on that? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this Vidisha 99 article. Will be linked in the description below. And bye.